Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. Hope everybody's having a fantastic little day. I decided to today go live earlier than normal because I want to look at the conversation that happened between Douglas Murray and one Davis Smith, and want to deeply analyze it, go through it. Lots of people have talked about it. Lots of people have asked about it. I didn't want to do it the last few days, so I'm going to look at it today. I see lots of people talk trash about it. I have watched a few parts of it, but I want to go through the whole thing. And so this might be a 6-hour live stream. Let's see. David, what's up? How you doing, man?
Is this on Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
His video's coming down, man.
I don't care.
His guy's notorious for taking people's crap down. Whoever runs Joe Rogan's tech stuff is a dirtbag, because it's probably not Joe Rogan.
I will, if they try to take it down, I will make a counterclaim, and we'll get them. So
we will go to court.
If I have to go to court, I will go to court.
We asked Joe Rogan for Mubahala.
207,000 views on hijab. Good job, AP. Really? I didn't even check.
Views on what hijab? Oh, that little video you posted the other day?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
And it was just, honestly, I was just very, very pissed and just sat down and talked about it briefly. Oh, yeah, 208,000 views.
Yeah, I haven't. I just got back from California. I went out to record with Sean McDowell, so I haven't been following everything, but I've seen people posting some more text messages. So in Hijab's little AI voice video response, it was, "Oh, look how deranged this woman is. She's clearly making all of this up." And then I don't even know who's posting, but someone's posting some of the other messages. Anyway, wild stuff going on. But
that's very funny.
So I haven't been paying any attention to that. Here we have this Dave Smith. You may have told me before. I've seen the name pop up over and over again, but who is this Dave Smith? Because I can't recall.
So Dave Smith, I didn't really know much about him until quite recently, until he started talking about Israel all day and every day, and he's a comedian, and
comedian.
So when you look him up, it just says comedian, and he's a comedian who is, funnily enough, one of those people who is of Jewish origin, but who does everything in his power to basically work together with all those who hate the Jews the most. And he's one of those people, one of them folks, probably one of those people who were among the 3% who support Hamas in the polls.
Well, comedians. What? Hey, there's an echo. I hear myself. What's going on?
What's your problem, man? Why do you hear yourself?
I hear an echo.
What about now?
Check. Yeah.
What about now?
Check. Yes. What's going on, man?
I don't know, man. It's a you problem. It's a you problem.
I'm gonna log out, log back in, see. Okay. I can't function like that.
This happened before. I don't know what I did. Huh. Echo cancellation. Yeah, go, get out of here. What did I do when this happened in the past? This is stupid. You two hear an echo. Everybody else hears an echo. What the heck? Why don't I hear it? That's very, very stupid. All right, let me cancel the screen sharing and let me do this again, I guess. Let me share this again here. Fine. Let's put this on here. All right. Does everybody hear an echo now? Do you hear an echo now? David, speak.
Check. Yes.
Man, what is this, man? What is this? Do you hear an echo now? Chase, check.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try a few things. How about now?
Are you joking?
No, I'm serious. Can you say check again?
Check.
Still echo? How about now? Try again. Say check.
Check.
Do you still hear an echo? What the hell is this? What is this, man? Hello. I really wonder what happens if I play a video now.
To downplay Hitler and always.
Do you hear an echo now?
On myself?
Yeah.
Yes. Do other people hear it?
I guess so.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything, man. I just went live without changing anything.
You're doubling my audio somehow.
Seriously, if I can't solve this stupid problem, I'm just gonna cancel the live stream right now. What the hell is this, man?
You could chop all this part out later. AP's a professional, everyone. Switch to StreamYard, he says.
I assume that it's still not solved. I didn't even do anything, man. I just went live the same way that I always go live.
And then it randomly started.
What the hell?
Why am I hearing myself?
Everybody else does too. That happens only when I do screen sharing.
Check. Okay, yeah. Now it's not doing it.
That happens only when I do screen sharing.
Okay, well, don't do screen sharing then.
Yeah. Why does it happen?
Don't you always screen share stuff?
Yes, I always do it.
Okay, so you're doing it differently somehow.
That don't make no sense.
Why don't you download the video and just play it?
How about now?
No. No echo. You fixed it. You solved the problem. You did it, man. You're a problem solver. Everyone, you're looking at the world's leading problem solver.
Let's see if I bring this out. No. This is now it's only showing this tab, so I can't suddenly bring anything onto the screen. That's how I solved the problem. This is very stupid. Anyway, whatever. Whatever. Let's just go with it. Okay, man. Okay. Live stream ruined from the very beginning.
Yeah, I know. You're trying to do some fancy response video to a comedian. Comedians always have advantages in these discussions because they're funny. And even if they're saying something stupid, you can think, well, he's just joking. But Dave Smith, huh?
Dave Mapill.
I can't figure out if the reason I've never heard from him is he's just not really that funny, or if it's because he has a boring name. Dave Smith
is an American stand-up comedian, podcaster, and libertarian political commentator. Smith is a close friend of Joe Rogan and a regular guest on the Joe Rogan Experience, and has also appeared on the Lex Friedman podcast. He has also frequently appeared on Fox News Kennedy and the Greg Gutfeld Show. Additionally, he was a recurring panelist on CNN's SE Cup Unfiltered. Smith is a member of the Mises Caucus of the Libertarian Party. Smith hosts the Libertarian podcast, Part of the Problem. That all sounds very stupid. Anyway,
a boring name will hurt you. See, if you go back to the 1980s, 1990s, had all these action stars, and they all had cool names: Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Steven Seagal, and then you came out with this guy in the movie The Perfect Weapon, and his name was Jeff Speakman, and he should have been better than them all, but his name was Jeff Speakman. Likewise, you got all these great comedians, and then you've got Dave Smith. Who's going to watch him? No one.
Smith became a libertarian through the Ron Paul movement. He has opposed what he sees as big tech hegemony. Became big through the COVID-19 thing. Libertarian Party of Kentucky. Smith has been noted for interviews and debates with people such as Gavin McInnes, Nick Fuentes, Richard Spencer. What the hell? Christopher Cantwell.
That's Rogan's buddy? Oh, man. Next he's going to have like Nick Fuentes on his show.
Smith has called Fuentes a fellow traveler. According to the SPLC, this what the new Republic called Smith a Nazi sympathizer. The SPLC noted that Smith is Jewish and has disagreed with far-right figures on the creation of white ethno-state and the alt-right's tactics. Debating with Fuentes, the SPLC said Smith argued for hard-right libertarian viewpoints. The thing is, I'm just reading off the screen here, but I know him from one issue, which is that he's also very good friends with one guy who just famously hates Jews. He hates Jews, and that is Jake Shields. He's actually a friend of Jake Shields, a close friend of Jake Shields, and he also goes on Jake Shields' podcast.
Wait,
and they share each other's stuff.
wait,
I mean,
Jake Shields?
yeah,
He the guy that keeps challenging us to debate, and then when we agree to debate, then he backs out, and then he'll toss out another debate challenge, and then you'll accept it, and then he'll back down, then you toss out another debate challenge, and he accepts it, and then says he needs a couple weeks to prepare, and then says, first you have to fight me. You have to fight me in the octagon.
exactly that.
Oh, okay, that guy. I just want to make sure I was thinking of the exact same Jake Shields, and not Jake Shields, the guy who works at Walmart.
No, Jake Shields, exactly that guy. In fact, let's just bring this up for let's bring it up for a second here. I didn't really talk about this very much. I didn't talk about it here on the channel, but this happened over on Twitter. So let's look at what happened on Twitter, where a certain Jake Shields, who is an MMA UFC fighter, who has quite some accolades, I guess, challenged me to a debate, or he said he would debate anyone, and I said, okay, let's debate. And the debate topic was, let's bring this up here, share this tab. Okay, this works. That's cool. All right. So he is the guy whom I challenged to a debate because he keeps going around and saying nobody wants to talk about the Holocaust. So I said to him, okay, and I'll debate the Holocaust with you.
And why aren't we allowed? Why is no one allowed to ever talk about Jews?
And he's one of those imbeciles who says like that that the Holocaust is a lie, and it has been debunked and is full of lies and so on. So I challenged him to a debate about the Holocaust, and he eventually accepted it and said, "Come down to Vegas." I said, "Okay, all right." So then he said he has to get back. He has to prepare for 2 weeks, and he will get back to me. In fact,
prepare. Why would world-renowned Holocaust historian Jake Shields need to prepare?
Because he's scared.
Dr. Jake Shields and his many books of history.
I in fact posted here, I agreed to come to Vegas. When are we debating? He said to me, hey, I'm going to need to do 2 weeks of research. Want to do 2 on 2, and I can grab Dan Bilzerian. It's like,
the only guy dumber than me on the planet. I found him.
You would expect somebody who is aware that he's a complete idiot and ignorant to say, all right, well, I should probably get somebody who knows the topic, and to get somebody who actually knows. But he gets another guy who is even dumber than him, Dan Bilzerian. So I said to him, okay, well, let's do this. Let's do this. I give you 2 weeks. I gave him 2 weeks. 1 month later, he wouldn't get back to me. Eventually, I pressured him. And what he said to me was then the following, as I just showed it. It was, give me your phone number and stop acting like a slimy Jew and posting all our private conversations publicly, which I, of course, posted publicly again. I didn't give him a number. The funny thing is, I didn't give him the number that I always use.
Smart.
I almost did.
Do not do it. Don't do it.
I almost did, because I thought this is a public figure. This is a guy who has 800,000 followers. He's known. He has fought so many fights, and
he's not going to post your phone number.
Yeah, he's not going to do something messed up. But then I thought, but man, this is the Jew-hating Nazi
evil,
guy.
slimy dude.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get a virtual number. So I went over to Google Voice, where you can get a free number. Got a new number and gave it to him. I said, let's set it up and not waste time. Few hours later, I started receiving really nasty messages from several numbers, and the messages, I'm sorry, looked like this. Here's a number, for example. This is what they looked like. I'm not going to read it out for those who are listening. Sorry.
What? It's not on there.
Oh, wait. Here. This is what they looked like. I didn't show this either. Yeah. So here he said, "Give me your number." I said, "Let's set it up, not waste time." And then I started receiving messages that looked like this, and I can't read it out for those who are listening. Sorry.
Wait, hang on. On your brand new phone number, and only he has the number.
Exactly.
This is what starts popping up from Punchy McPunchface Shields.
Exactly. So this is what he this is the kind of stuff that I received. So of course, as a response, I a few hours later said, "LOL, did you just post my number?" To which he did not respond. Of course, it was him. I have more messages, including one that is just a voicemail that says, "Is this the slimy Jew?" Which kind of sounds exactly like something he says. I'm not exactly sure who sent those messages. Probably his friends or something. I don't know. Or maybe he has like multiple phone numbers with which he actually trolls people. This is what the guy does. Like, this is the MMA fighter who actually goes around trolling and harassing people and sending nasty like, this is something that I wouldn't even do if I was 12 years old. You know, it's so weird. So anyway,
well, you haven't been punched in the head nearly as many times as him.
So this guy, he is he, after being called out, said that that I leaked his private messages, which are just the messages that you just saw, and wanted his phone number, which is a lie. He wanted my phone number. I don't platform demons who cheer on killing kids. I don't even know who this effing loser is, but he's been begging to debate me for months. He doesn't even know who I am. He has been corresponding with me for nearly 2 years now.
And he follows you and me.
And then he said, "Fight me for 60 seconds." And he doesn't follow me.
Oh, he stopped? He used to.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. "Fight me for 60 seconds and I'll debate you after," he said. So
tell him debate first and then fight afterwards.
Yeah. "Fight me for 60 seconds and I'll debate you after." I thought about this and I thought maybe I should accept it, actually, and should organize a debate by amateur MMA standard rules and make it happen. And then after it's concluded, we can do it. We can do the debate. I'm still thinking about it because I think the debate would be fantastic. And the thing is, there's no value in debating this guy.
Not right after you've been knocked out.
Yeah. There's no value in debating this guy. It's like there's no value at all. It's just to take these guys and to make an example of the horrible, dumb stuff that they talk about all the time. So anyway, this guy is a very good friend of Dave Smith. And Dave Smith continuously defends this guy and says, "Well, you know, he's been very nice to me. He's been very nice to me. He's been very nice to me," and so on. You know, this guy literally hates Jews, and Dave Smith is his friend.
It's like Goebbels going, "Oh, but Hitler's nice to me."
Nice to me, man. It's nice to me. So anyway, this is his friend. This is his friend. Anyway, now let's get back to the debate here.
Yeah, just accept and then say, but just switch the order. Say debate first, then you could beat the crap out of me for 60 seconds.
I actually had arranged a very, very good debate partner to team up with. I know it's a little bit cruel, it's a little bit overkill, but I actually got in touch with Elika Lebon, who is fantastic, and agreed that her and me should debate Jake Shields and Deb Bilzerian.
That would be classic. Look, seriously, after that debate, if that debate happens, people will be feeling so bad for poor Jake, thinking, "Oh, look at them beating up this poor little brain dead child." They'll actually be looking forward to him getting some get back against you in the ring. Be like, "Okay, go beat that bully up. Go beat that bully up, Jake."
Yeah. But anyway, I don't think that's going to happen. But I think I'm going to record something with her sometime in the near future. So anyway,
Joe got on a Wu-Tang claim.
This boy went on here
to mess with
Douglas Murray, and Douglas Murray actually started holding Joe Rogan accountable for one simple thing, which is not that Joe Rogan hosts ridiculous people, but that he continuously, for a long time now, hosts people that only have one perspective, that don't know anything, but keep talking about Israel. But he kind of refuses to have people who actually know something about the topic as counterweight to that. So
But hold
Douglas
up, hold up.
Murray there to challenge him on that.
Wait, so but he's got Douglas Murray on.
Who is now here after a series of really, really messed up.
Okay, so you're saying so it's okay. Yeah, I'm on now, but things are massively out of balance. You keep getting these guys on. There's no response. They're spouting complete nonsense, going to your followers. No one ever corrects them. And now, after a million of that, you got someone on to try and balance it out.
Yes. Let's see. Let's have a look here.
Good to see you guys. What's happening? Are you going no headphones?
Oh,
Keep the do?
I'll do that. I'm not quite sure what they add.
There we go. All right. The goal of this is every time I see people that disagree with anything that's happening, any gigantic world events, it's one of these retarded shows where they're screaming. There's the word again. We brought it. Yeah. We were just talking about
You
that.
did it early.
The word retarded is back. And it's one of the great culture victories that I think is spurred on probably by podcasts. But these things are always like Pierce Morgan, which is fine.
I can't hear the word now without thinking of that Twitter channel retard
Finder. Yeah.
and that hilarious that everything is just found one. Every post is found one. And then a picture of somebody. Oh boy.
By the way, somebody suggested it, but I highly recommend Joe Rogan to invite this woman, Einat Wolf. She's absolutely amazing. In fact, you should invite her and have her talk to Dave Smith. That would be kind of a massacre. But if you want to have serious people talk about this topic, invite people that are actually serious, not people that go viral because they make a TikTok video or something. You know? Or that didn't even know anything about this conflict until 2 years ago and then started becoming experts on the topic. So,
Well,
it's 5.
you can absorb information by repeatedly getting punched in the head, according to Jake Shields. So maybe all these guys are just getting punched in the head.
Aladonai says David Wood versus Dave Smith, please.
The battle of the coolest name ever, Dave Wood, and the dumbest name ever, Dave Smith.
Triconius Constantinus, David Wood, did you see Shameless Popery destroy you by saying you sounded nervous in your opening against Alex? Haha, for real. He said you did awesome.
No, I don't even know who that is.
Good. Viagra Salesforce said, get it here, get it now, half off site-wide, so you can satisfy all your muta wives.
They call it get you. No, that's Alidawa. It's Viagra Salesforce, man. Get it here, get it now, half off site-wide, so you can satisfy all your muta wives. Just ask Muhammad Hijab. Yes, I had so many muta wives, but I couldn't keep up with them, so I got Alidawa's new Viagra formula. Helped me bang all of these hotel wives.
Kelly Samuel says, please interview Muhammad Hijab's ex-wife. I'm not sure that
He may have 50 ex-wives, 50 of these.
Yeah, I'm not sure that she would be interested in being interviewed by people like us.
No, she seems like a very serious Muslim, so probably not going to like us.
Probably not going to like
us. Probably not going to be a huge fan. And she's talking about how into Dawa she was. So,
yeah, Dawa not good.
5 different people talking over each other. There's never just rational conversations where you discuss things. And I respect both of you. I think both of you are brilliant. And I bet you agree on a lot of things. I bet you disagree on a lot of things.
And equally so.
It's fascinating to see your perspectives on these things. So that's why you're here together.
Okay.
Well,
can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
Since the war in Israel began and since the war in Ukraine began, you've had quite a lot of people who are very against both in different ways.
Yes.
Do you think you've had enough people on who are supportive of either war?
I don't know that word enough, if that's a good word.
Let's say enough people who are on the side of Israel instead of wild critics.
Well, I've had a few. I mean, I believe God Sad is on the side of Israel.
For sure.
Jordan is on the side of Israel.
You had Mike Baker, Coleman Hughes.
Yeah.
Coleman did it for like 20 minutes, so it wasn't why he was missed.
This doesn't count. I'm serious. That doesn't count. Gad Saad is somebody who is on the side of Israel. Jordan Peterson is somebody who is on the side of Israel. But these two are not people who talk about the details of the conflict or the history of Israel, and who can actually give you, a great breakdown of the history of the conflict between Israel and the Arab side, and all that. So this is a very bad example. Bring people on who actually bring people on who are equivalent to these other geniuses who talk about Israel and against Israel all day long. Bring such people on and let them talk about the topic instead of just bringing your friends on who happen to be pro-Israel. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean none of them, and none of them is why they're here. It's a good question.
Do you think you've tilted one way?
Me personally,
No, just with the guests you've
the
had.
guess, yeah, probably more tilted towards the idea that perhaps the way they've done it is barbaric.
But why do you think that is? Just out of interest. I'm just interested in your selection of guests because you're like the world's #1 podcast. So
Yeah, it's not. I don't think about it that way. I just think I'd like to talk to this person.
But can I just?
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
it's your show. But
sure.
If you're going to interview historians of the conflict or historians in general,
It's quite funny, Mother Hula. You said yes, it counts, AP, and Joe Rogan just admitted that it doesn't count. Basically, it's quite funny.
Burn!
You're defending him, but he doesn't even defend himself on the point.
Burn!
What are you doing?
Mother
why
Hula got
would you get
humiliated
somebody
by
like
Joe
Ian
Rogan.
Carroll or-
Yeah, but Ian Carroll, I didn't bring him on for that purpose. I brought him on because I want to find out, like, how does one get involved in the whole conspiracy theory business? Because his whole thing is just conspiracies.
Sure.
But
do you have any?
This is so weirdly bizarre. So he invited Ian Carroll on because he wanted to find out how one gets into the whole conspiracy theory business, because he's all about conspiracy. I haven't watched the episode, so I can't really say much about it. I can't really say how he conducted it. I only saw bits and pieces of it where it seemed like he was just going with whatever Ian Carroll was saying. I don't know if anybody here watched the episode and if he actually, pushed back on Ian Carroll. But from the clips that I have seen, he just sat there and was like acted fascinated basically by the stuff that Ian Carroll is saying. And Ian Carroll is like, he's like the bottom of the barrel in terms of accurate knowledge. I'm going to be very honest. I've seen lots of things that he said, and I haven't seen one minute of him talking that wasn't full of lies and flaws. The guy is just completely full of crap. He makes up things on the spot.
Well, then it's good Joe had him on so he can expose him.
Which he didn't do, as far as I understand. And I can give you just one example. Like, I engaged with his content maybe once or twice. Let's see, Ian Carroll. Let's mention Ian. Let's see. So here is one example, which is very funny. Here is this low effort account, which is actually a Pakistani woman. He wrote a book in 1995 stating the World Trade Centers would be destroyed by Muslims, and then admitted after on camera that Israel was the primary beneficiary of it. The conversation is actually about the World Trade Center attack that happened in 1993.
Wait, there was another attack?
Yes. It's actually about the terrorist attack on 1993. Here's Ian Carroll. I'm not saying this proves anything. I'm just saying it's an oddly specific thing to write in 1995. Yeah, it's about 1993. It's about the attack in 1993. That's why he's writing about it in 1995. This is not him predicting the 9/11 attacks.
But
Like,
how is it possible that someone in 1995 could predict something that would happen in 1993? How does that make sense?
But this is not even the great thing. I saw dispensationalism. Where was that? Oh, he even got community noted, didn't he? Wait a minute. He even got community noted here. So Ian Carroll explains the Schofield Bible. He even got community noted right here. According to Schofield, the money to edit his annotated Bible came from Alwyn Ball and John T. Pyre, wealthy men from NY, both members of the Plymouth Brethren Dispensationalist group, along with Arno C. Gebelin, who introduced him to Schofield. If you listen to what he's talking about here, it's so full of nonsense. Look at this. The funny thing is, when you talk about this guy, they say, "Oh, why don't you refute him? Why don't you point out if he's wrong?" When you point it out, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to listen to it anymore."
Do you guys know about the Schofield Bible? Oh boy, here's a rabbit hole for you. Here's a rabbit hole for all of us. In the early 1900s, right around when the Federal Reserve was founded, and
the Federal Reserve has no connection to the topic at all. He's just mentioning it randomly.
But because, it's when Jews who control the Federal Reserve decided we need a Bible.
It has no relevance to the topic at all. No connection at all. There's no connection at all. It's completely randomly mentioned just to somehow imply that it has a connection to it.
The Jews controlled the Federal Reserve, so they took all the money out of the Federal Reserve and paid for a Bible.
The Balfour Declaration happened right at that exact same time. Mm-hmm. The Rothschild family hired this dude, this pastor.
This is completely made up. The Rothschild, which I know I'm nitpicking about this one just for my personal thing, because I kind of cringe when people say Rothschild because it's Rothschild. But anyway, the Rothschild family, he says, hired this dude, C.I. Schofield. The Rothschild family had nothing to do with this at all. There is no single piece of evidence that he had any connection to Schofield.
Which part of Federal Reserve didn't you understand, AP?
It's completely
There's your link. The Rothschilds bought the Federal Reserve and paid for a Bible.
He completely made it up. It has nothing to do with there is no single piece of evidence that can actually prove a link. Nothing. Not even suspicion.
There's nothing at all. Oh, we're just imagining the Federal Reserve now. Come on.
Hired this dude, this pastor in the
Second problem already, nobody hired him. The guy sat down and started penning, basically, or started writing, or I think it was actually mostly not even his own writings. It was basically written together with others, where they wrote down the Schofield Study Bible. It's not a Bible. It's a study Bible. It was this guy who himself commented as a dispensationalist on the Bible, and he himself decided to publish it. So they looked for means to publish it. He was also not from the Deep South. He was from the Midwest, but whatever. He also just makes random things here, like Deep South. What?
Yeah, I know a guy in prison who had the Schofield Bible. What I remember about it was that it was famous for its lists. He would always count things in the Bible. And he would say 10 things this, 12 promises about this, and there would just be lists all over the place.
Yeah, I have it right here. But let me get to it in a second.
South, he made a new version of the Bible called the Schofield Bible.
He made a new version of the Bible. A new version of the Bible.
A new guy. I caught it too, AP. Guys. Anyone who thinks that a study Bible is a new version of the Bible, when that's just the King James. It's a King James Bible
it says it right there.
Yeah,
King
with
James
his
version.
study notes. Yeah, with his study notes. So it's a study Bible. Anyone can make a study Bible. I could take the NIV right now, add my notes, and say this is my study Bible. I haven't made up a new Bible version. So anyway, yeah, this guy's sounding like all kinds of stupid right now.
This guy is such an imbecile. I mean, seriously. Somebody who probably has no idea what the Bible is might just accept this as it is said, but anyone who has an ounce of an understanding of what the Bible actually is and what Bible translations are should pick this up here immediately and think, what an absolute idiot. And these guys actually published this conversation.
Look at Bible called the Schofield in the Deep South. He made a new version of the Bible called.
He made a new version of the Bible would be what the Nazis did, for example, would be to take the Bible and to change the contents of it, literally, to take out contents of the Bible, to rewrite the Bible, to add something new to the Bible, and that's then therefore a new version. It is different from anything else. If I sat down and started writing a new translation of the Bible. Maybe you could you could call that a version. That would technically not be a version; it would just be a translation. None of that happened here. The guy sat down. I have it right here, just to look at it because of these idiots. Here it says even King James version. It says it right here, like at the bottom, King James version, right here, King James version. And it is simply the King James Bible that has been around forever, simply with his extra notes and thoughts and references. It's a study Bible.
Yeah, AP.
Bible. It's not a new Bible.
But the
It's a
King
study
James
Bible.
version was paid for by the Rothschilds.
Here's
who
another one.
had the
Rothschild
Federal
commissioned the
Reserve.
Schofield Bible. I dare you, if you show me one single piece of solid evidence that shows that the Rothschilds commissioned the Schofield Bible, which, by the way, is not a thing. It's a Schofield Study Bible. I will delete my channel right here.
Yeah, you better hope there's not some evidence out there, bud.
There's not. I already checked. Abundantly. There's no single piece of evidence. It's complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. Made up by imbeciles who go here and talk and then have thousands of people sharing their content. This is just so ridiculous, man. This is the age that we live in.
Called the Schofield Bible. He wrote this new Bible that has all these new interpretations of the text. So they didn't change.
He wrote this Bible that has these new interpretations. That's called a study Bible, you idiot. I don't think that this guy ever read a Bible. Do you think this guy has ever read a Bible?
No, and he looks like a freaking like 70s porn star or something like this. Like, what's up with him and his mustache and his hair and stuff like that?
With AIDS, yeah.
I'm here to fix your plumbing, ma'am.
So they didn't change.
Jewish influence.
Yes, literally, that's where Judeo-Christianity kind of came from. And
with Jewish influence, no. C.I. Scofield was a dispensationalist, and he actually started with a dispensationalist worldview when he wrote the study Bible. Dispensationalism was popular around the time among certain Protestants. The idea that I don't know. It's a specific eschatological idea of God having plans in different phases for his relationship to his believers, to the with the covenant, and that there is eventually a plan for Israel to be rebuilt and to be for a new Israel in the future to be founded, and so on. It's a whole weird reading of the Bible which I don't agree with at all. But it is C.I. Scofield himself who holds the idea. He's not being influenced by Jews. These guys always think, oh, a white person thinking of this on his own. No, how could it be? We are all retarded. Only Jews are smart, so they must have influenced us. How could we make up our own ideas? How could we come up with some? No, we're all collectively retarded. It must be the Jews who give us these ideas because they are the smart ones. Do you guys even know what you're saying?
I like how everyone we make fun of now gets the Dawa voice.
Judeo-Christianity also didn't start here. Maybe it was popularized in a way, but it also didn't start here. This is not where Judeo-Christianity comes from.
Judeo-Christianity kind of came from. And the idea that Israel is this modern Israel thing is the Israel of the Bible. It came from that Bible. And the Schofield Bible.
That it didn't come from that Bible. It was actually around, and Scofield himself believed in that, based on which he wrote the Scofield Study Bible. This was a common belief among a circle that he was also a part of. He didn't invent this. So this is not a big conspiracy where the Jews come together in their secret room and say, we have to hire somebody to write a new Bible through which we will propagate new ideas that will help us conquer the... No, these were ideas that were already around. And C.I. Scofield believed in those ideas based upon which he wrote the new Scofield Study Bible. This is not... The whole conspiracy completely falls apart here because it makes it look like this Scofield Study Bible is the originator of these ideas. It's not.
They were all. You had a room full of Jews, and they were like, Levi, let's pray to Ezra about how to get these Christians to do our work in destroying the Palestinians for us. Oh, great God, Ezra.
Man,
Oh boy.
these people are so
Oh boy.
Bible was funded by the Rothschild family, and
again false.
then it was pushed because they owned the publisher that publishes like all the books. I think it was
That publishes all the books.
Yeah, literally everybody. The publisher that publishes all the books.
And do people realize how stupid this sounds?
Yeah.
'Cause,
See, if you go back a century, well, there was only one publisher who published all the books.
the publisher that publishes like all the books. I think it was Oxford.
This guy is an idiot who just hangs out with other idiots and gets these ridiculous ideas and then spreads them online and people actually listen to it. This is the problem with we are the new media. We don't need experts anymore. We can just say whatever. You can say whatever you want, but it doesn't change the fact that most of you people are completely dumb and ignorant.
Yeah,
Sorry to be blunt, but
it's similar to something we've talked about before, in the sense that when like the founding fathers are saying, hey, you've got these freedoms because you have a certain kind of population that has that is advocating and training people in virtue, and you need that or this will not work. If you don't have that, then it's not going to work. It's actually going to break down. This is a very similar situation with we are the media now. That will only work if you have basically a core population that doesn't gullibly accept any sort of idiotic nonsense that you tell them. You need some level of scrutiny, or this is just going to lead to absolute disaster. So what's the missing part here? You need a basically somewhat intelligent population that has some level of skepticism about claims like this. Otherwise, this is just going to be disastrous.
it's really, really, really bad.
Press. And so they had the deals that they could make to get that Bible into all the mega churches across whole denominations of
That's not what happened.
Christianity. And so that was when
I've seen one Schofield Bible in my entire life, apart from the one that AP recently bought.
kind of Jewified.
The final part here
Was when Christianity got kind of Jewified.
That's when it happened. 2,000 years, completely separate and distinct, no connection at all with any Jew ever in Christianity. There's Christianity completely distinct and separate from any Jew who's ever existed. It's completely Jew-free from the beginning of Christianity. From the time Christianity comes on the world stage, it was completely Jew-free until the Rothschilds funded a Bible, and then the Jews made it all Jewy there. What is this dude, man? Oh.
There's just so much to say about this, but this is just absolutely ridiculous. It comes from a person who probably hasn't read the Bible at all. I maintain my position that I don't believe that this guy has actually ever read the Bible. I don't believe that he actually sat down and read one full chapter of the Bible. Maybe he read one epistle, one of those that is like one page or something. But I don't think that this guy has ever read a Bible. I don't think it ever happened. This whole idea, they Jewified Christian. Where the hell do you think Christianity came from? Who do you think the authors of the New Testament were? What do you think they identified as?
Scandinavians.
What do you think Paul called himself? Saint Paul called himself, who is the man in the New Testament, in the epistles. He called himself a Pharisee of Pharisees. He called himself a Jew. Jesus Christ called himself a Jew.
And people know him by Saul of Tarsus, but his real name was Saul Rothschild.
These guys had Jewish names, all of them.
Rothschild.
Yeah. Paul wrote very passionately about his love for his fellow Jews. He wrote in Romans that he wishes he could cut himself off from salvation to save all his fellow Jews, all his fellow Israelites. This is the origins of Christianity. And this guy is sitting here, oh, this is how Schofield, he was paid by the Rothschilds, and then this is how Christianity was Jewified. You don't know anything, man. You don't know anything. This is so ridiculous. You don't know anything. Jewified? I go to an Orthodox church now, have been for months, and I love it. The funny thing about Orthodox churches, the funny thing about early Christian liturgies, as they were held, is that they are very, very Jewish. They are very Jewish. And so very Jewish in that the liturgy in the traditional apostolic, in the Orthodox church, is very much based on on Second Temple Jewish practices. Pretty much everything that happens during a Sunday service, during a divine liturgy, is taken from Jewish practices, from biblical practices, from temple practices, from the priestly practices. So much of it is taken from Jewish practices, which is why the idea in Orthodox Christianity is that there is an unbroken continuity between temple practices and Orthodox Christian worship. This is the idea. This is not something that I'm making up. This is literally the Orthodox Christian idea. And this guy is sitting here talking about Jewified. Anyway, man.
There's been a tilt in the conversation, in both conversations, in the last couple of years. And it's largely to do with people who have appointed themselves experts, who are not experts.
You mean like Ian? I don't think he appoints himself an expert in anything.
Who's that other dude who thinks he's an expert on Churchill?
This is a stupid response by Joe Rogan, with all due respect. Douglas Murray says that certain people appoint themselves as experts. If you stand there and you basically, pretend to be the ultimate voice who knows everything about this stuff and who wants to blow everyone's mind and lecture everyone and go on all the shows and challenge other people and so on and talk about this day and night, and who pretends like he's sharing the great knowledge with everybody, it doesn't really matter if they call themselves experts or not. That is them appointing themselves as experts. That's it.
Daryl Cooper does not think he's an expert.
No, in fact, I think it's everybody else is always calling him an expert, and he's like, I'm just a history
Have
nerd.
you ever absorbed any of his material? Have you ever consumed any of his podcasts or anything like that?
I tried.
Yeah?
It's pretty hard to listen to somebody who says, I don't know what I'm talking about, but now I'm going to talk. Or I don't know about this. Or I'm not capable of debating this historian, but I'm going to just tell you what I think.
Yeah, but that's not
I think that's
exactly
a little
that's
bit
not
out of
exactly what
context.
Daryl was saying. I mean, Daryl's point of view, however you feel about this, what Daryl's saying is he doesn't really like doing debates. He likes to do long format stuff where he can really explain his
But
position.
if you throw a lot of shit out there, there's some point at which I'm just raising questions is not a valid thing. Mm-hmm. You're not raising questions. You're not asking questions. You're telling people something.
Do you think Daryl's doing that?
I think there's a whole bunch of guys doing that.
I think
Dave is doing that, very obviously.
Isn't this very basic? If I go out here, like if I make a YouTube channel and I sit here and I actually talk on a certain topic and make big claims about it, right? And tell people, so this is what happened, and this is what happened, and this is this, and that is that, and I want to ask a question about this and this and that, and here's what happened, here's what's going on, here's my opinion on this, and I talk about this for 2 hours. It doesn't matter whether I consider myself an expert on the issue or not. What matters is that I am actually appointing myself to a position where I pretend that I'm the educator, that I'm the teacher on this topic. And yes, for example, I or David, when we sit down and talk about Islam, we claim to be the ones that can tell people about Islam. David, don't you agree? Don't you agree that when we speak about Islam, what we do is that we actually assume to be figures who can tell people and teach people about things that are related to Islam. That's what we do, right? We teach people what we know about Islam, and we believe and we argue that we are right about those things. That's what we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be speaking about it. Why would I talk about a topic that I don't claim to be like a certain kind of authority on?
And you've seen probably hundreds of times where someone asked me about something. I was like, why would you ask me about that?
Yeah.
I don't study that. Why in the name of
Yeah.
common sense would you ask me about something like that? Oh, hey, just wanted to, because I glanced at the comments. So we said, well, Paul called himself a Jew. And then Claire jumped in with, he called himself a Jew until he got to Antioch. Really? So he stopped after Antioch? Really? That's strange, because you can look to the book of Acts well after Antioch. This is Acts 22. Now you're getting to the end. And what's he say? Brothers and fathers, now listen to my defense. When they heard him speak to them in Aramaic, they became very quiet. Then Paul said, I am a Jew, born in Tarsus of Cilicia. What? He's a what? I thought he stopped when he got to Antioch. Why do people... This is what's interesting. Like, people make things up. And what's amazing is, if you point out to Claire that he calls himself a Jew multiple times after Antioch, and therefore you're just spouting complete idiotic nonsense. Oh, it's supposed to be funny? Why do you... How's it
trolled. You got trolled.
How's it funny to jump in with Paul only called himself a Jew until he got to Antioch?
You got David. You got baited.
Well, if we're just going to say random stupid things.
Dave's a comedian.
Until he got to Antioch.
But he's now mainly talking about Israel.
No,
I don't know if I'm mainly talking about Israel.
That's
but
all I see you
have
on the internet
opinions.
doing.
Yeah, but that's you.
Well, that
just,
might be what you've seen.
it's
But
just
I don't
you
think that's
consume-
This is so weird.
What?
This is exactly the point. Douglas
What?
Murray says he's a comedian, but he is now mainly talks about Israel, for example. And the point here is literally that Dave Smith, he's here because he considers himself a speaker who has something to say about the topic. This is what he does all the time. He talks about Israel all the time. That's the entire point. And now he wants to act like, whoa, I'm not sure if it's if I'm mainly talking about Israel, and maybe there are like some days that I don't talk
occasionally
about
mention
Israel.
it.
The point here, bro, is that you talk about Israel like an authority. That's it. And you don't know anything.
That is also your shtick now, isn't it?
Well, what do you mean by that's my shtick?
Well, you're not a geopolitics guy in general, are you?
I don't even know exactly what you're asking.
I'm saying.
No,
Isn't it
I'm
very
saying,
obvious?
what does geopolitics mean?
It's very obvious what he's saying. And does anybody not understand? If you don't understand what he's saying at this point, then that might be the problem. You know? It's very obvious what he's saying. Why is Dave acting dumb?
You've decided, being a comedian, you've decided now to become somebody who talks about Israel.
This
and
is not,
conflict.
I think you're incorrect. I don't think it's a decision. I just think you have long form conversations, multiple of them. It's a huge event that's in the news, so it comes up. I don't think it's a thing. I think if you're on the outside, you'd say, "Oh, look, they're trying to get attention by talking about this very polarizing issue publicly." That's
but
not.
you do get attention from that. If you'd spent the last year speaking about Myanmar, you would not be on my lips.
Yeah, but
or a
he
lot of other
does
people's.
talk about Yemen constantly. He talks about a lot of things that aren't in the news.
Well, I
constantly.
tend to talk about the conflicts that my government is directly involved in, which I think is.
I mean, here, let's have this right here.
And by my government, I mean the one controlled by the Jews.
So, assuming that he doesn't mention Israel in every single post that is about Israel. So here, let's see, Israel. It's not just something that he happens to talk about when he sits down. It's very obvious. He's a well-known figure by now over the last 2 years to talk about the whole Israel issue. I get it all the time. I ask people to debate Dave Smith, for example. People ask me to debate Dave Smith. People tell others to debate Dave Smith. I would love to, by the way. I would love to. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But this comes up all the time because he acts like he is an authority on the issue. That's it. He has debates on the topic. Why is he acting dumb now? Why is he acting dumb now? Let's see. How did that happen? Here. Yeah. All right.
Reasonable to me, but I don't quite get like what's all the appeal to authority stuff. I mean, you have to be an expert, or
No, I
and
think
what exactly
authority
makes
matters.
you
I
an
think
expert?
authority matters.
That's not what appeal to authority is. Appeal to authority would be that you believe something is true, or you argue that something is true because a person with authority on the topic has said something like that. Here, Douglas Murray is just questioning very simply why people who don't have any understanding of the topic are appointing themselves as experts or as authorities on the topic.
Yeah, and when you're talking about appeal to authority as a logical fallacy, it's usually it's supposed to be called an irrelevant appeal to authority. Like you're talking, you say, oh, so and so's an expert, but his expertise has nothing to do with what he's actually talking about, because it's not irrelevant to appeal to an authority, right? It makes sense to say, here's a world's leading expert on this topic, and he says this. It's always possible that someone will be wrong about something, but someone being an expert in a field can often be helpful. And I guess both of them have a point here. If Douglas Murray's saying, "Hey, you're not an expert," well, therefore, what? He shouldn't be talking about it, or what? Or people need to be more skeptical about it. So,
I mean, he was just basically saying that it is kind of messed up that lately certain people who don't really, who are irrelevant figures to the topic appoint themselves as experts on this topic, basically implying that they don't understand what they're talking about.
yeah, and that's why I said they both kind of have a point, because from Dave Smith's perspective, it'd be, what do you mean? I can talk about whatever I want, and so can Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan doesn't know a lot about what he's talking about, and he still talks about it. We're human beings and stuff. And I guess Douglas's point would be, yeah, but you guys are influencing tons of people, and you don't have anything to counterbalance it, and you're saying completely idiotic, insane, false things, and no one knows it because they're listening to you, and you sound like you're claiming to be knowledgeable here.
Yes. Pope Mike Winger the 69th said, AP, leave Eastern Orthodoxy and join Western Wingerlism, the one true church. No, it will never happen. Sorry. Abraham Harp. David, would just want to say how anointed you are and thank you for all the blessed work you do. Oh, hi, AP.
Thank you.
Boobily says, oh, hi, AP, and Ohio David Kuhn. Stop with the fanning. Moshko and well, AP, even during the Holocaust, we had capos. That is true. Holy Joe, Dawood will have to make Islamicize Me Too, and now Ape would have to make The End of Muhammad Hijab Part 2. Also a channel sponsor. You see the proof. What channel sponsor? Oh, yeah, the Schofield Bible? Yeah, the Schofield Bible is the channel sponsor. Holy Joe. Allah is cursing Dawood's computer, you see. It was actually my system. What do you guys think about Sam and J drama, Beerus? I think that I have thoughts about it. But if I express my thoughts about it, then it will be counterproductive. I don't care. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. I privately told one side my opinion on the topic, and I don't want to publicly talk. I think people should stop fighting over ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, guys, I have no idea what it's about. People message me and they're like, "Hey, what about this?" And I'm just never interested in the drama. I've said before that the people who would aggressively go after Islam or other issues where you're going to be bombarded with criticism and so on, those usually tend to be people who don't back down. They go after stuff aggressively. When you go after them, they tend to dial things up. And I pointed out repeatedly in the past, those are the kinds of people who don't work well together. They don't work well together because if they try to work together, eventually they'll disagree about something, and they both have the personality types where they'll escalate. And so that's just why it happens. And I don't even know kind of what to do about that in the future, because it's only going to get worse. It's going to be happening all over the place.
Yeah, Sam Shimon and Jay Dyer are both very crazy people, and that's what happens when two crazy people come together. So No disrespect. I have much of respect for both of them, more or less. Jonathan Jappe says, David, I said before, David's echo, and I'll say it again. Sonny Erickson, oh, hi, guys. Operator, innocent are those who receive the blood of their heart. Powerful. Duke of Doxology says, do you think Douglas Murray could have explained his position more clearly by speaking within their mental framework, or are Smith and Rogan too foolish to understand the points he was making? We will find out. Douglas Murray is... he's pretty advanced for somebody of the rhetoric of Dave Smith, who is a comedian. So
I would also have to say, I mean, unless he just drops it right here, I wouldn't have gone the approach of, hey, maybe you shouldn't be talking about this because you're not an expert, because Dave Smith is way more similar to Joe Rogan in the sense of, hey, I like to talk about stuff, and we're not experts, but we want to talk. In other words, what Douglas is saying would put Joe on the side of Dave Smith right here. He would instantly go, whoa, sounds like you're saying, oh, only the posh British Oxford guys are allowed to speak about these things, and us commoners with a comedian background, we have to keep our mouths shut and just listen to you guys. So in other words, I think it would have been stronger right here to come out with, I've seen you say this, but here's in fact the case. So why are you saying that? And to sort of show that he's wrong a couple of times, and then go into, so you don't really know what you're talking about on these issues, and yet you apparently keep talking. So don't you think it would be a good idea, if you're going to be talking to millions of people, to first get a clue about what you're talking about? Maybe actually listen to some people who know what they're talking about. And I think it would have been received a bit better.
Powerful. Now, I very much like Douglas Murray.
Oh, he's legend status. One of the goats in the world.
He also paid me to say all kinds of good things about him
through the Rothschilds
during this episode, through the
Rothschilds and the Schofield Bible Foundation.
So there's that. But that said, I have to stick to my contract and also watch the video fully and then comment on things that I like and don't like. So we'll see. Mark H says, AP, you said you recite the Nicene Creed each day. How could you know what it is when the book was taken out of the Bible?
Thanks, Sneeko.
Yeah, this is a joke about Sneeko saying that the Council of Nicaea was a book that was taken out of the Bible.
Sneeko's very smart. What are you laughing at?
I mean, he's just a little bit less intelligent than Ian Carroll, I would say. But it got me to start reciting the Apostles' Creed each morning. Thanks. That's nice. Yeah, I say it as part of a prayer rule that I picked up, which is very, very cool. So, very cool. All right, let's continue.
And I think that if you just throw a lot of shit out there and then say, I'm not interested in the alternative views on this, and particularly when it's a counter-narrative that is wildly off, and when you get people, look, I just feel, we should get it out straight away, I feel you've opened the door to quite a lot of people who've now got a big platform who have been throwing out counter-historical stuff of a very dangerous kind.
You mean Daryl? Are you talking about Daryl?
Daryl, who's the other one?
I don't think Daryl has a... Derek, I don't think there's anything dangerous about
what's the other guy? Derek...
who's Daryl?
What's his name? Cooper, is it? Which one is it?
No, that's
it's Daryl
Daryl
Cooper.
Cooper. Who's the other one? There was one I just checked on the way here. Daryl Cooper, and then... Oh, yeah, Daryl Cooper, Ian Carroll. Look, these guys are not historians. They're not knowledgeable about anything.
No one's calling Ian Carroll
No, but then why listen to their views on Churchill?
Daryl is incredibly knowledgeable.
He's not.
Yeah,
he's
he
not.
is.
He's wildly... Several reasons. One is, when he was offered to debate the current greatest living biographer...
I don't know much about Daryl Cooper, but I think he was the guy who said something like that. He said something really messed up about Winston Churchill, and is basically doing World War II revisionism, as far as I understand. Oh, this is the guy. I came across his profile. Oh, boy, this is him.
Daryl Cooper?
Yeah.
Ha! I don't know about Daryl Cooper, but let me tell you about Gary Cooper. Now, there's a real American.
This is him. This is Daryl Cooper. Oh, boy. I think I came across certain things that he has said, which which are which were really messed up. Let's see. I must have made some notes on that. Yeah, the most prominent thing is about Churchill. Churchill. Let's see. Churchill. Yeah, I would have to go back to look at what it was that he said, but pretty much downplaying Hitler and making Churchill look like the bad guy in the World War and so on. It's like, no matter what kind of perspective of revisionism and anti-establishment and conservatism, anti-education idea you have, basically excusing Churchill and making him look like the bad guy in the war is ridiculously horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But yeah,
really bad.
Let's see.
Biographer of Churchill, he said, I can't, because he knows much more than me, and I admire his work and I've learned from it, but I can't possibly debate him. That's Andrew Roberts.
Right, but you don't have to be able to debate people to have opinions.
No, you don't have to debate people.
If it's not your thing.
But if you, for instance, but if you say, I've decided...
What does that mean? If it's not your thing, don't talk about the topic, man. You can share your opinion on it, but don't make it your thing.
And you should be clarifying, because again, I mean, you could see it from both people's perspectives. It's cool that Joe Rogan is interested in talking about all kinds of things. Don't state things that are just things you're making up and state them as if you know what you're talking about, and you're misleading tons of people. So if you want to talk about something, then just be honest. Hey, I don't know a lot about what I'm talking about, but I want to look into this. And here, I think this. Anyone else know if I'm right or wrong about this? When you're just spouting things off as if you know what you're talking about, then yeah, that's bad.
That's bad.
And
that's
lame.
bad.
And possibly gay.
That's bad.
I did that Churchill is the bad guy in
It's not what he
World War
said.
II.
It's not what he said. It's not what he said.
Neither Carroll nor Cooper have said that?
Well, listen, I don't know what Carroll said, but Daryl Cooper's not said that. What he said was he jokes with his friend Jocko, who's an Anglo-Saxon. He jokes with him. I think that Churchill was the secret villain of World War II. And what he's saying is, by Churchill's actions, the war escalated. He's not saying anything.
He's not just asking questions, then, is he?
No, but
He's got
that's
a point.
Wait. He's saying what about
World War II. And what he's saying is, by Churchill's actions,
Churchill's
the
the
war
villain.
escalated. He's not.
by Churchill's actions, the war escalated.
Yeah. If Churchill hadn't done what he did, things would have moved along nice and slowly, and the Germans would have taken over.
I don't even understand this. Like, he's saying that this is not what he said, and then he states a position that is just absolutely insane.
War II. And what he's saying is, by Churchill's actions, the war escalated. He's not saying anything.
He's not just asking questions, then, is he?
No, but
He's got
that's
a point.
I'm sorry, to make the statement that by Churchill's actions the war escalated is absolutely ridiculous. Churchill stepped in a moment when Europe was on the brink of getting completely, I don't know how to put it, raped. With the appeasement policies toward Hitler and the Nazis, who were taking bit by bit whatever they could, who were brutally attacking and bombing left and right under Hitler's dogma, under Hitler's ideology of wanting to expand and taking over Europe and exterminating the Jews and so on. Churchill stepping in and making a very, very bold and brave move and taking on this monster. And at a point where the British were very demoralized and very low, and few people believed that they could actually put up against Hitler.
That dude held it together, man.
Leading the nation and leading Europe and contributing a huge chunk to saving the continent, saving the people. This guy's actions did not escalate the war.
Yeah, I'd have to say, if If Churchill hadn't been there, I think the Germans would have still eventually lost, but it would have been a lot longer and a lot bloodier. Way more people dead, way more Jews exterminated, and the U.S. would have had to carry a lot more of the weight as time went on. So, sounds insane
Well,
to
well,
point a
well,
finger at
well.
Churchill.
Well. This is exactly right. We can say Chamberlain escalated the war by his appeasement. This is exactly right. The UK, so the Great Britain, had the policy of basically trying to appease and trying to prevent war by giving Hitler whatever he wants and being, trying to make negotiations and all that, trusting Hitler's world. Didn't Chamberlain later on come out and say that he regrets it, that there is no way to deal with this dishonest monster called Hitler, and the appeasement policies, not fighting against him, is basically what fed him and what made Hitler stronger and stronger and stronger. Fighting against him, taking on the Nazis, is what brought peace to Europe. I'm so glad that Churchill and those who were brave enough actually did something and stepped in.
The
Point of
claim
view.
isn't that he's just asking questions. Yeah, he has a point of view.
You can explain this better. He literally says
Yes, he
he's
said
joking.
in the comment, he goes, listen, I'm being hyperbolic. And then he once again disclaimed, he goes, and I'm not claiming Churchill committed the most atrocities or was the worst part. But in many ways, I do view him as the chief villain, as my hyperbolic, provocative statement. But
What's
Douglas,
the point of that?
well, okay, but Pat Buchanan wrote an entire book on this. Is he not allowed? Is he not an expert? Is he not allowed to be?
What's the point of that exactly? It's so ridiculous. Hyperbolic. Well, you're making a statement. It doesn't matter if it's hyperbolic or not. Churchill himself was an evil racist. I'm not sure where you're from, but it doesn't matter what Churchill himself was. Churchill himself saved Britain. That was on the verge of being completely.
The question was he the villain in the story of World War II?
He was not. He was a hero.
Yeah.
I don't care what else he was. He was a drunk. He was a fool. Whatever he was a hero. Okay.
He's certainly not an expert. He can be interviewed. I've watched Pat Buchanan debate. I watched Pat Buchanan debate against Churchill historians, and he was absolutely leveled because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
When did Pat Buchanan debate and get leveled?
About 20 years ago.
I'm just
he
curious.
debated against Andrew Roberts and several other historians at the Intelligence Squared in London. I was there. He didn't know what he was talking about. He had a contrary view, and it was interesting and stimulating to hear. But if you only get the contrary view, which is, isn't it fun if we all pretend Churchill was the bad guy of the 20th century? At some point, you're going to lead people down a path where they think that's the view. And that's horseshit of the most profound kind.
And let's stop acting like this is not a common position that people... let's stop acting like this is not a common position that people hold. We see it every day.
I've seen it all over. I've seen it all mostly in the past year and a half. But yeah,
I see it in the comments just now. So I see it in the chat just now. I see it on X every day. I see Tucker Carlson and his guests suggesting such things all the time. I see people posting dumb stuff like we fought on the wrong side all the time. This is not just something that somebody jokingly says and nobody takes seriously anyway. This is a very, very serious issue.
I don't think that's what he's trying to do.
I think that's exactly what they're doing. And the problem is that because your own platform has come about because you're a very successful comedian and much more, and you do ask questions, and you are interested. But there are a lot of people who have come along, partly I think because they've come on this show, who have come along and they've decided, I can play this double game. On the one hand, I'm going to push really edgy and frankly sometimes horrific opinions. And then if you say that's wrong, they say, I'm a comedian.
But wait a minute.
How can you tell me I'm just a comedian? I'm just throwing stuff out there.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. That's what they do. That's what they do. This is so funny. So I'm just looking for examples here. And I'm just looking at the Jordan Peterson post about... He posted this yesterday. It's yesterday, man. The truth about Churchill from one of America's greatest men. Churchill was awesome, and so on. The comment section is wild. The comment section is absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Churchill is in hell right now for what he did to the world. But did anyone ever visit Churchill? They're making fun of Douglas Murray. Lost the empire, Hitler, super duper bad. This is a common thing now. This is not just some joke that somebody makes in passing. This is an actual position. This is an actual position that we see all the time.
So Douglas seems to be correct in the overall game they're playing, right? It's I'll go ahead and say this insane stuff.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people will buy it. And then eventually someone who knows what he's talking about will correct me. And then it's, what are you talking about, man? I'm not an expert here. I'm just a comedian talking about stuff, man. Just raising some questions. And
just asking questions, man. Just asking questions.
Yeah.
Man.
So so there's no accountability there. And yet you're just misleading people into taking some stupid, insane positions.
No, man, I was just asking questions. I'm not trying to.
Hey, there is with Jake Shields, two legends.
Eminent historian Dave Smith not going to be happy. Oh, man. This is the problem with just asking questions. Shut up. You're not just asking questions. You're not just asking questions. We see right. You are not just asking questions, okay? We see right through it. Stop the nonsense.
Horrific opinions that's wrong are you talking about specifically?
Once guys like this get into very obvious stuff, which is
guys like Daryl,
the ones I'm describing.
You
Very
need to
clear.
listen to Daryl to really understand what he's saying. If you take Daryl's words out of context, Daryl has some of the most nuanced, balanced, and charitable views on all the figures in history.
Well, particularly Hitler, it seems.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. He doesn't. What did he call him? How did he describe him?
I think he compared him to a methed out psychopath who was holding an entire nation of.
In all honesty, this is a part where I actually think that Douglas Murray is going the wrong way, and where I think that this is bad on his part, honestly, because he just admitted that he didn't actually listen to Daryl Cooper, but then he starts making direct assertions about his knowledge and the horrible things he said and so on, which I don't think he has actually listened to. And I'm just saying this right now so that people can say, oh, look, he's nuanced. He said something critical about Douglas Murray. From this point on, I have served that purpose, and I will not say anything else that is critical of Douglas Murray. So, yeah.
You said not say.
Not say.
But not say.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. He doesn't. What did he call him? How did he describe him?
I think he compared him to a.
That could be something. What do you call a gay Nazi? A Nazi. That's dumb. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
A methed out psychopath who was holding an entire nation of people hostage, I believe was the way
He also
put it.
said on here that he wasn't anti-Semitic until the Holocaust. There were no speeches of Hitler's in the 1930s.
No, again, this is
No.
Listen, man,
He said he was not public about it.
He said he was downplaying it to win over. He said there was a period where he was downplaying it to win over popular support in Germany. It was his argument.
There is no historian of what.
That is not true. It's just inaccurate. It's not true. Hitler was very, very open about his hate for the Jews. And the Nazis were very open about it. In fact, Germany was very open about it, that they were very, very much anti-Jew, anti-Jewish. So the whole downplaying the anti-Semitism for public support or anything, that didn't happen. They didn't have to downplay it. The Germans didn't. The average German population didn't know until well into 1943 or so that the Jews were being massacred. But that said, they did know before that the Jews were being deported and sent away, and they were okay with it because most Germans at that point were very much influenced by the Nazis and also had pretty bad opinions of Jews. He also he gave a very, very early, he wrote a letter in which he suggested that he has a solution to the Jewish problem, and that without solving the Jewish problem, the Jewish question, Germany cannot rise up from its ashes, that the Jews are the cancer, that if a war comes, then it will result in the extermination of Jews in Europe. These are things that Hitler said. So there was no point at which they downplayed the anti-Semitism. That's nonsense.
World War II, who thinks that Hitler was downplaying anti-Semitism in the 1930s. That was what he was doing. He wrote a book about it in the 1920s. He got to power on it, and he grew his power on the back of it. The idea that you can argue that in the 1930s, Adolf Hitler was downplaying the anti-Semitism, like, there's no historian who would agree with that. So why would you throw out the idea that in the 1930s, Hitler was not being anti-Semitic in public? That was what he was doing in public. He announces to the German parliament what he wants to do. So when you're throwing out claims like he was keeping it down in the 1930s, first of all, what are you doing? And secondly, why?
Okay. I mean, I think that it's kind of hard because I don't even know exactly what Daryl's point on that was. And so I'm not really in a position to argue what he was saying there. I don't think you're giving him the most charitable interpretation.
I don't need to give...
Yeah, guys, be charitable.
They just stated his position, and he just destroyed it. And now he's supposed to be charitable. This is so weird, man.
him the most charitable interpretation to be able to see
Okay,
what
I think you're
he's
straw
doing.
manning him, I should say.
Look, anyone can look up.
Excuse me, did I just... What?
You're straw manning him, man.
Didn't they just state a position?
This
is
No,
Was it this
on your show?
No, he said he was not public about it.
He said he was downplaying it to win over. He said there was a
Yeah.
period where he was downplaying it to win over popular support in Germany.
yeah.
It was,
I'm sorry, Dave Smith. You don't have to be on the same page as me here. This is what Dave Smith just said. This is literally this is literally how Dave Smith just said it.
playing it to win over. He said there was a
Yeah.
period where he was downplaying it to win over popular support in Germany.
Yeah.
And Douglas Murray just addressed it and pointed out how ridiculous that is. And Dave Smith's response to it is that Douglas is straw manning Daryl's position.
Wait, so he said,
It's
hey,
Dave Smith who just
hey, what
presented
he's-
the position.
yeah, he's saying, hey, it's not as bad as what you sound. Here's what he's actually saying. And then Douglas says, well, that's stupid because it's wrong. And then it's, hey, you're straw manning him. Is that is that what you're saying?
Yes,
just happened?
yes.
He's
Now
like, hey, it's
listen-
not this, it's this. And he says,
Listen to
oh,
it
if
right
it's
here.
that, if it's that, then it's stupid. Oh,
Pay
yeah,
attention.
but you're straw manning him.
Pay attention right now. So pay attention here.
The idea that you can argue that in the 1930s, grew doing, who
Over popular. He
About
said
it.
he was downplaying it to win over. He said there was a
Yeah.
period where he was downplaying it to win over popular support in Germany.
yeah.
It was his argument.
there is no...
Look, this is what he just said. It's Dave Smith who just said it. And here they're now accusing him of straw manning him.
First of all, what are you doing? And secondly, why?
Okay. I mean, I think that it's kind of hard because I don't even know exactly what Daryl's point on that was. And so I'm not really in a position to argue what he was saying there. I don't think you're giving him the most charitable interpretation.
I don't need to give him the most charitable interpretation to be able to see
Okay,
what
I think you're
he's
straw
doing.
manning him, I should say.
I think you're straw manning him. I don't think this guy knows what straw manning is, or he's just using it whenever he doesn't know where he's going.
Look,
So-
anyone can look up what he said on this show and others, what these two guys in particular have said on repeated podcasts with both of you. It's an attempt to downplay Hitler and always to do down Churchill.
I don't think you
in
downplayed
su-
Hitler.
You're saying
whatever
I've
way they
downplayed
can.
Hitler?
No, I said in conversations with you and others, this is the shtick of these guys. They've decided it's edgy and funny, and I think this is very,
don't.
very interesting and also very dangerous because we live in an era now that the right has got some mojo back in America. We saw years of crazy left overreach where they tried to make us all say the craziest things. And completely predictably, there are now figures on the right playing with really dark and ugly stuff on their side.
I agree
and
with
they
that.
are
I-
mainstreaming
I don't
this,
think
and I
Daryl's
think it's
doing that.
partly being mainstreamed by the two people I just described. And both of you have kept speaking to these people. And you don't get on the historians who know about this. And that's just alarming to me.
Well, can I just say, so because I kind of do agree with part of what you said there. Like, I do think it is true that almost as a reaction to like the woke insanity that we've seen on the left, and I think literally, I think nobody's been a more effective critic of that than you. I do think there has kind of been a right wing.
Let's look at this for a second here. Let's look at this.
it's not like Hitler was going and giving big speeches at City Square in Berlin, going on and on and on about how we're going to kill the Jews. And the German people said, right on, like, let's go do it. That was like the speeches that are out there where he is talking about the Jewish question, like almost all of those are like internal Nazi party, like rally speeches, they're not him. He had to be careful about that. Like in 1938, which is pretty far down the line, when Kristallnacht happened, it was kind of a nationwide pogrom against the Jews in Germany that was launched primarily by Goebbels, the propaganda minister. But there was outrage in the German cities. People in Berlin, a lot of the places were outraged by what was going on, and Hitler had to actually get on the phone with Goebbels and say, "Cut this shit out. Like this is not good. Like not because he loves the Jews all of a sudden, obviously, but because this is bad propaganda. People are
Bad propaganda.
He got
Pizza. Pizza. Pizza.
Listen to the speech here. This is the most prominent instance of of Hitler giving his so-called infamous prophecy about the Jews. And by the way, at the time of giving this speech, this is 39. At the time of giving this speech, he's preparing the armies for an invasion to start a major war.
Pizza. Wenn es dem internationalen Finanzjudentum in und außerhalb Europas gelingen sollte, die Völker noch einmal in einen Weltkrieg zu stürzen.
So if the international financial Jewry in and outside of Europe should once again succeed to plunge the people into a world war, this is of course his rhetoric. He immediately gaslights people in preparation. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy in preparation of what he is about to do. So he is about to plunge Europe into a major war, but he blames it on the Jews, right?
And if the Rothschilds, through the Schofield Foundation, convince the world to fight us in another world war.
And look what he says he's going to do now.
Dann wird das Ergebnis nicht die Bolschewisierung der Erde und damit der Sieg des Judentums sein.
So then the result will not be the Bolshevization of the earth and thereby the victory of Judaism,
Sondern die Vernichtung der jüdischen Rasse in Europa.
but the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe.
Europa.
Look at the
Look,
outrage.
look how they're loving it.
They are really mad that he said that.
This was broadcast. I have the recording.
Yep, right here is where he realized the people were against him, and so he had to change his message to one of peace and love towards Jews.
Let's see. This was given in January 30th, 1939. Germany invaded Poland in September 1st, 1939. If you think that that Germany had enough time in those months to, out of the blue, suddenly make the plan to invade Poland and then just go ahead and do it, you must be crazy. At this point, it is very well known that Hitler was behind the scenes mobilizing the forces in preparation of a major war with Poland, which would, as he knew it, trigger France and England to come to the defense because they have an agreement, a pact with Poland, and to also join the war. At the same time, he also had a pact with the Soviet Union that would also enter the war. So he knew that invading Poland would result in Germany, Poland, Britain, France, the Soviet Union, and the entirety of Eastern Europe, by the way, to be plunged into a war. And that Italy would help them along the way, who were already at war. And that this would trigger other parties also to jump in. So he was preparing a world war at this stage, at which he announced that if the Jews plunge the world into a war, then the Jews will be exterminated. Very, very clear. This is a preparation for the extermination of Jews in Europe. Easy peasy.
Wing reaction that has embraced racialism and is dangerous.
said
and not a good
racialism?
path
Yeah,
to
and
go
now they're
doing.
flirting with
Now-
Holocaust denial and
Yes,
Hitler
but they're
and
not-
absolving
but
Hitler
you're-
of
I
blame
think
and
you're
much
wrong.
more.
I think
doing
you're
that.
wrong to include Daryl in that group. Now, the other things, I'm sorry, because maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. You're saying people that I've had conversations with
These
have
two guys are
downplayed the
examples of
Holocaust.
this.
Well, who are the two guys?
I
Daryl
just told
Cooper,
you, Cooper and the other
Ian
friend of
Carroll.
yours,
Ian
and
Carroll.
I've never podcasted with Ian Carroll. I have.
You talked to Jake Shields. You love Jake Shields. You have defended Jake Shields many times. What about him? He's a friend of Jake Shields.
Well, when you consider how many times he's been punched in his head, trying to take anything he says seriously would basically be strawmanning him.
Let's see. There were even tweets where he was talking about how nice Jake Shields is to him and so on. It's so funny. Let's see. La 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 la. I don't care.
Podcasted with Daryl Cooper once, and he absolutely did not downplay any of the Nazi atrocities at all. And I think that if we're zooming out here a little bit, maybe this is kind of part of the disconnect. Broadly speaking, in American culture, the idea that it has not been driven into people enough that the Nazis were bad and that Adolf Hitler he is literally the modern devil. He is much more so than the actual devil. Adolf Hitler is what's viewed as the most evil thing, to the point that, I mean, just my entire life growing up, if there was a guy who sold soup on Seinfeld who was like authoritarian, he's a soup Nazi.
Right.
Everyone was Hitler. The left called George Bush Hitler, and they called Obama Hitler, and they called Trump Hitler.
Yes.
Every single enemy that we've gone to war with
always called Hitler.
Saddam Hussein's the new Hitler. Muammar Gaddafi's the new Hitler.
Yeah, we get it,
Putin's
dude.
the new
What?
Hitler. It is so the idea that like we haven't driven into people enough that Adolf Hitler was a really bad guy.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not
Okay.
saying that at all. I'm saying just as the left likes to play with very dark, ugly stuff, and they've done it for decades. They have played down Chairman Mao's murder of the Chinese throughout his era in power. They played down Stalin. They still march on occasions with posters of Lenin. They've spent decades trying to do down evils that were done on their side. And I would suggest that one of the things that is going on at the moment is, despite, or maybe because of what you just described, there are movements now on the right in America, subcultures, including people who follow both.
I'm not sure if this is a tweet that is actually real and that is no longer in existence, but I don't see any objections or refutations to it. I really want to look this up here. La 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 la. Let's see. The Independent, Tucker Carlson's favorite historian. Oh, wow. This is a real tweet. This is a real freaking tweet. This is a real freaking tweet. Here. It was also reported in the media. This is him, Daryl Cooper. This may be putting it too crudely for some, but the picture on the left was infinitely preferable in virtually every way than the one on the right. Speak of fallacies. He presents one picture where the Nazis are taking over Europe, and another picture where there is a drag mockery during the Olympics. And I think this was disgusting. In fact, remember, David, when this happened, we went live together and we talked about it. You know how I found this ridiculously outrageous. That's when I was actually visiting you. When this show here happened, this drag show happened, and I found it ridiculous and outrageous, and we talked about it together.
Yeah, I'd have to point out though, that was offensive to lots of people, sick, gross. If I had to either accept that happening in an intro to the Olympics or Nazis controlling Europe, I'd take the drag queen thing. I would be massively in favor of that versus Nazis taking over everything.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
I very much agree. And if you don't agree with that, I think you have a problem. I think you have a serious problem. We can all agree that this here is a ridiculous act. What happens here, of making a parody of the Last Supper as it is seen in as an introduction to the Olympics. Stupid action, also looks very disgusting and all that. But then on the other hand, you have Nazis taking over Europe. If I have to choose between these two, I will choose the right one, not the left one. If I chose the left one, I could never ever sit down and seriously claim to be for human rights, be for compassion, be for mercy, for justice, and so on. These guys were the worst of the evils that we have seen. These guys were pure evil. The Nazis were pure evil. They weren't just enemies of the Jews. Lots of people here in the chat, probably because they don't know, because they get their knowledge from half-wits, probably think, oh, yeah, they just hated the Jews. They didn't just hate the Jews. They hated tradition. They hated democracy. They hated Christianity. They hated Christians. They tortured and killed Christians as well. They tortured and killed Jews. It wasn't just about Jews. They tortured and killed people of different races. They introduced euthanasia to have to collect people that they deem unworthy of life, such as mentally ill people or people who are not very capable, would collect them and euthanize them forcibly and kill them, put them to death. If you think that this is okay, if you speak as a Christian about this and you think this is okay, then I really suggest you go see you go get some help, or you go to a church, or I don't know, get together with a religious leader, inform yourself. I don't know. If you are none of these things and you are just a sick person who has no beliefs and who no concerns for any of these traditions, no concerns for human life, I understand why you would prefer the Nazis, but the Nazis were sick and evil people. This has nothing to do with Jews. This is about everything and everyone, about compassion, about human dignity, about the value of human life.
Hey, on an unrelated note, every time, because this is the first time I've seen this channel here, Martyr Maid. Every time I glance up at it, I keep thinking Martyr Mouse, and I think of Far 4 and Martyr Mouse, and then I just realized everyone seems to be on board for remaking Islamicize Me now that a bunch of people we've all got way more experience in doing stuff now, but if we remake Islamicize Me at some point, I think the show that they should start watching when they're learning about Islam should be called Martyr Mouse. And it's basically will be exactly like Palestinian children's television, but that's where they could be learning their Islam from. So anyway, I think that would be a good little part of the show. They watch Martyr Mouse every morning, eating cereal.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea. This is really, this person is who Joe Rogan just described as a very nuanced person. Are you freaking kidding me? Very nuanced. Very, very nuanced person.
Martyr Mouse. Martyr Mouse is always very nuanced.
Very, very nuanced person.
Here I come to save the day.
Very, very nuanced. Are you freaking serious, man? Wow. And then people actually have the audacity to suggest that that Douglas Murray was misrepresenting people and making allegations and that he was wrong and so on.
Who are very interested in playing with this absolute beyond the pale thing. Why somebody like Jake Shields wants to play around with Holocaust denial? Why?
I can't answer for Jake Shields. I don't know.
Why do you think?
I have no idea. I think
I'm telling
a
you,
lot of
who's
people get
Jake?
captured by audience capture.
Captured by their audience.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You get a lot of positive reinforcement from a bunch of twisted people.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
true.
also, I mean, there's something about, Michael Malice had that great line. He goes, when you take the red pill, you're supposed to take one and not swallow the whole bottle. And I think there's like this dynamic. What happens is, and of course, people know the red pill is the analogy from the Matrix. The idea that you wake up to realize
Oh, thank you.
that so much of the stuff you believed was bullshit propaganda and is all
Absolutely.
lies. And this is a real danger when the establishment and the institutions are all caught with their pants down, having sold a bunch of very consequential policies based on lies. And then once people realize that, they go, well, what else have they been lying to me about?
Oh yeah, it's the fault of the establishment. That's it. I'm sorry. This is just such a stupid cop out, right? To go full retard and then to blame it on the establishment and misinformation. Oh, it's just because they fed us so much nonsense, and if that is nonsense and this is nonsense, then what else is nonsense? This leads to the guns. No, you are just retarded, and you spread hateful, horrible, absolutely mindless stupidity. That's it.
Joe
it's not
Rogan-
anyone else's fault. It's your fault.
Joe Rogan was making an important point there about, and I've talked about it before with the Dawa guys, and with Andrew Tate, in that as you're manipulating your followers, well, basically, as you're conditioning your followers are conditioning you, because they're letting you know what
That's true.
what they love and what they'll cheer for and stuff like that. And so you come out with something, but then their reaction is constantly sort of steering you in certain directions. And so you just people who let put it this way. Let's suppose Jake Shield just wasn't crazy about Jews. And then after the war breaks out, October 7th, then he says something. But there's a crowd out there that's waiting to cheer for anyone who's jumping on, who's attacking Jews. And so, hey, this got a good reaction. So this actually can help you. It can help you just go full tilt after a while.
Powerful.
And then they almost want to look into every single thing and go, yeah, I think the whole thing was lies. Now, I agree with you. There's danger in that. And I think that there are some things that then people jump to conclusions that are totally wrong. But I guess I tend to look at that and go, well, then maybe the people with power, not random podcasters, but like the people with real power, should do a better job of not lying through their fucking teeth about everything.
Well, maybe
This is so pathetic, man. Take some freaking responsibility. Take some Oh, the people in power are lying. That's why we end up believing in complete nonsense. The people in power are lying, and that's why our friends, they start going into different directions. No, it's because your friends are dumb and hateful.
There is an
responsibility, man.
There's an important element of truth in what he's saying, in that the reason all these insane ideas are taking off is because the traditional journalists and spokesmen for have become so biased and have been spouting so much nonsense for a long that it just made people not trust them, not trust anything mainstream, and therefore I can't trust any of these guys. Let me go to X or YouTube or something like that to hear the truth. And so that's basically what's causing people to turn elsewhere and giving these people an opportunity to spout complete idiotic nonsense. So he's right about the media and so on being partly to blame for these guys even having the ability to spout their idiotic nonsense and win people over to their insane positions. But you're still responsible for what you say and what you're telling people. So don't try to duck it. So yeah, the complete unreliability and incompetence of traditional sources of information did give you guys the opportunity, but you're still responsible for how you take advantage of that opportunity.
Here, look at this. Is this an opinion that you just arrive at because the establishment has just taught too much nonsense, and now you have seen through it and so on, and then you have started questioning everything, which is why you arrived at the conclusion that not a single Jew died in gas chambers?
Yep, and you can see how this works. I've caught all these people who taught me stuff my entire life, and I found out they're not completely reliable. Therefore, I don't trust anything they're saying, and I'm not going to read anything because it's written by people who study this stuff, and I can't trust them. Therefore, I can come to any insane conclusion I want because I'm rejecting every traditional source of information on the issue.
There were no gas chambers.
See? Yeah, because if there were, why wasn't it on X back then?
Why didn't I ever meet somebody who was in a gas chamber? Huh?
Mhm.
Power. Maybe you have power, both of you. We live in an era where podcasters have a lot of power.
We live in a
So
society.
you go on a podcast with Jake Shields, and Jake Shields goes on to another podcast and says he doesn't think 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. What do you think's happening there?
It's worse, Douglas. I'm not sure if Douglas knows, but he thinks not a single Jew was killed in a gas chamber. It's not, lots of non-Jews were also killed in gas chambers. I mean, if your problem is with Jews, if your problem is just about Jews, I don't know. At least acknowledge all the others that you don't hate who were also killed in gas chambers. But no, nobody was killed in gas chambers. Gas chambers did not exist. The only gas chamber that exists is when I go to the toilet after eating my lunch.
That's an exercise of power.
Okay.
Okay. And I agree with you about the breakdown of trust. Absolutely. We have lived
breakdown
through
of
an
trust.
era where, in real time, we saw something called a conspiracy, the lab leak, which turns out to be true, as you and others said it might be from the beginning.
I find that to be very racist.
And against
How
Joe,
dare you
or
say
against
that? Both of you.
It
Both
used
of
to
you.
be
Very
it
racist.
used to
That
be
was-
racist
that
when
was
we were
crazy.
saying that it was likely that the COVID variant
Well, I'm glad that they came to a common ground, at least here, to laugh about something. It's good. It's good.
would come out from the place making COVID variants.
Especially
But
since
isn't
it's
it great?
in the exact
Just
town.
seemed like it.
Dude,
Seemed
isn't it
like
the-
it was possible to us.
By the way,
But the point-
Ask yourself this: who has
I don't want to ask myself this, so this is
Yeah,
sponsored by ExpressVPN. Yeah.
And that was that's sort of along the same lines, but it's another important point. You had the media saying, "Hey, you're insane if you think this was some sort of lab leak, and you're a lunatic." And anyone who tells you that there was a lab leak or something like that, that's a lunatic. That person needs to be have his life destroyed, and so on. And then turns out, oh, that actually really seems like what it was. So when that happens, it's all the people who are said to be insane conspiracy theorists turned out to apparently be right, and the people who said don't listen to the insane conspiracy theorists turned out to be wrong. Therefore, now when we're talking about the Germans and we say these guys are insane conspiracy theorists, and the other people are saying no, don't listen to them, they're wrong. Well, guess what? The insane conspiracy theorists are the ones who keep being right, and therefore we'll just keep believing the insane conspiracy theorists. So, yep, this is the direction things are heading. But anyway, that's why the breakdown in trust is important, because people stop listening to you and then they go to other sources. But sometimes those other sources are complete lunatics.
They often, very, very often. I don't know why I have so many new Nazis in the chat now. It's like, where do they all come from? It's like they suddenly swim up like cockroaches when we talk about topics like this. I call Dave Smith our hero. Dave Smith, the only Jew that we like. We heard that you were talking about the Germans are heroes. Yes, we are here to destroy Churchill. Man.
But that one fell apart in front of our eyes.
Well, it
And
took
of course,
4
It
years.
took 4
Yeah.
years. And I've said repeatedly, it's kind of inevitable to me that if you see something that is called a racist conspiracy theory fall apart and become
Racist.
also what we used to call true in a few years, it's likely to blow a lot of people's minds. But the question then is, do you help those minds that have been blow themselves out some more by doing a whole load of other conspiracy stuff? Do you decide to go, hey, what else have we been lied to? Maybe Churchill wasn't a great guy. Maybe Hitler wasn't such a bad guy. Maybe the Holocaust, etc., etc.
Nobody
And
is,
that
you
is
keep saying that.
exactly
No
what
one
the-
is
so
saying maybe Hitler wasn't such a
you
bad
are
guy.
saying that.
No one is-
Where's he been? I see that all the time. I see that every time I go on Twitter.
I wonder if he will invite his friend Jake Shields back and ask him about Hitler, Churchill, the Holocaust, Jews. I wonder if he will do that. He's suggesting that nobody's doing that. His friend Jake Shields, whom he had on before, by the way, he had him on 9 months ago. I see it right here. MMA show with Jake Shields 9 months ago. Maybe it's time once again to give birth and to invite him back on and to talk about this stuff.
Saying that in
you're
the
doing-
1930s, Hitler kept the anti-Semitism down.
No. That's not what he's saying. What he was saying is that he didn't do it as publicly. He was doing it in meetings because the support for that kind of thinking.
He was doing it publicly, man. The support was there. He was doing it publicly.
Exactly what these guys are drinking. They're drinking a couple of very, very discredited historians like David Irving, and they are just regurgitating it. And it was always been the same thing. It is always an attempt to minimize Hitler's anti-Semitism actions. Eventually, down the road, you get to minimizing his actual involvement in the Holocaust, and then you can go
but you
on to the
can't
next
say that
stage.
about Daryl. It's
Okay,
not
I think
true.
what you're
Exactly what
guilty
they're
of
doing.
here is kind of similar to, I think, something that the woke left has done, which is this concept creep, where you're talking about some people online who are doing this thing, and then you're lumping in other people with them. Listen, I'll just say this right now. Daryl Cooper is currently, I believe, almost finished, or he's working on a big World War II series. And
Can't
when
wait.
this comes
What's
out,
it gonna be on?
we can see.
It's a podcast.
Yeah, he does long form podcasts. When this comes out, I am quite confident to say beforehand that if you're going into it expecting him to be downplaying the atrocities of the Nazis or downplaying the evil things that Adolf
Why
Hitler
are we-
did, you're going to be
Look,
disappointed.
My point is, why are we even talking about this guy?
Because you brought him up.
Yes, because he comes on podcasts like this. My point is, this is not a serious
he got him there.
historian.
No.
He's not
But here's the thing that you missed, David. He sat down at the beginning, and his point was very briefly. To
Yeah, I
complain
get why he brought him
that-
up, but it was
that
just
certain
funny
people-
that you brought him up.
that certain people put themselves out there as experts talking about these things. Then he brought up these examples. Joe Rogan and Dave Smith then responded to this by basically saying that they don't claim to be experts, they just share their opinion on things. However, now, just about now, Dave Smith is actually arguing that Daryl Cooper is an authority who is talking about the topic and who is soon going to actually publish a long format thing about the Second World War. So wait a minute, what happened to the claim 20 minutes ago that these guys don't put themselves out there as experts or authorities on the issue? What happened to that claim?
What if he's just asking questions in the documentary? Didn't think about that, did you? Boom.
What happened to that claim that they just made 20 minutes? We forgot about this, didn't we? 20 minutes ago in this podcast episode, they actually said that that these guys don't turn themselves or don't present themselves as experts. Well, the stream is over. La 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 la. The stream is down. 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 Free speech advocate right there, man. Big free speech advocate, Joe Rogan. Free speech! Free speech! Free speech! Free speech!
What's your problem with free speech, man?
Free speech! Free speech, everyone can say whatever they want. Free speech, but if you talk about it, then I'll take it down.
Free speech. Freedom isn't free, man.
Free speech, except when you talk about my stuff. Then I'll
Costs
take
a
it down.
$1.05.
Free speech. Free speech.
What are you doing, man?
Oh, we're back now. Okay, now we're back. Okay, we're out. Wait, now we're out again. What the hell is this?
What? We're out?
Yeah. What is this, man?
It says live.
I know, but
Oh, stream. I literally told you, stream suspended for policy violations. I told you,
That's
Joe
what I'm
Rogan
just telling you, man. What do you think I'm telling? What do you think I'm saying here?
I thought you were looking something up.
Okay, now we're back. Now we're back on. Now we're back. Now we're on the screen again. Okay, good.
And it will let you continue being on the screen until you start playing Joe Rogan again. I told you.
Well, then we were
told
not
you.
going to watch Joe Rogan. That's
I
it.
told you. It's a problem. And I don't even think it's Joe Rogan. It's whoever runs his stuff.
Well, that's the funny thing. Part of the idea of free speech is that everyone should be able to talk about whatever they want to talk about, and there should be no repercussions for it. If somebody wants to use my content and make and do commentary on it, I would be very, very happy to, and I would have no interest in taking it down, unless they want to take my content and say, "This is mine. I made this," and then publish it on my behalf and all that. I would think, okay, this is just I can't allow that. I can't. That's just dishonest. I can't allow that. But if they want to talk about it, I would be happily allow them to talk about it. Oh, now we're gone again.
Wow.
I didn't even play anything. Well. I'm just going to read super chats. I don't care. Come on, YouTube. Don't be retarded.
What?
Such a stupid system. Such a stupid system. Geniuses at YouTube.
We popped back up for like a quarter of a second.
This is so stupid, man. They have such a stupid system. I didn't even play anything for quite a while now. They keep popping us back up and then back down again. What a stupid system. The tech giants here. Big tech giants.
Yeah, man. You got a bunch of you got 94 super chats, man. Can't even read them.
That's why I don't want to. Some people say just make new live stream. I don't want to make a new live stream because I have all these super chats here.
Yeah, I'd say wait another minute or two, see if it pops back up, because I think it will.
Well. Oh,
hey, we're back. For how long? For seconds?
I don't know.
Hey,
now we're back. The only reason I'm not restarting this live stream or not doing another live stream is that we have a bunch of super chats waiting here. So.
But it will probably get shut down because right now the algorithm is going through the video, finding all these clips of Joe Rogan. And what AP was saying was, hey, anyone's welcome to use our stuff and so on. That's cool. That's not even the point. What we're doing is 100% completely, utterly, totally legal. Yes. It's called fair use. You're allowed to use portions of copyrighted material for purposes of education and discussion and criticism and so on. It's the same thing as using a book. You can quote a passage of a book and then discuss the passage of a book and so on. So here's the thing. It's
shut it down.
Doing what we're doing is completely 100% legal. It would be upheld in any court of law and so on. But there are certain people who tell YouTube, take down anything that anyone is using from our content. And this is kind of the result. And so, again, whoever runs Joe Rogan's tech stuff is a terrible garbage human being for saying, just take it down and then let them defend themselves in court. You actually have to go, we would have to go to court to say, no, we have the right to do this and so on. But
dude, what's your problem with Joe Rogan's people, man?
They're a bunch of freaking douches. That's why I said it at the beginning. I said this is going to come down just because I've seen other people go through that.
It's down
with Joe
again.
Rogan.
It's down again. And it's back again.
Oh yeah.
I mean, whoever here's the tech giants, man.
Just go right to
Tech
super
giants.
chats, man. Just go right
Tech
to super
giants
chats,
here.
man.
Tech giants right here. Tech giants.
Just go
Perfect
right to
system.
super chats.
Perfect system, YouTube. Look at this perfect system. Everything works smoothly. Anyway, Mojab's defamation defense lawyer says, you ruined me. Now I can't read my sports watch workout data without doing Dawa voice. What do you mean fitness degrees? But me strong liar. Yeah, I'm not going to watch any more Joe Rogan. I don't care about Joe Rogan.
Can't do it.
I also don't care about Dave Smith. I think we already got the essence of it and said whatever there is to say.
So we were going to go through that. We were going to go through that whole thing, ladies and gentlemen. But thanks, Joe Rogan, for whatever douche you hired for to run your tech stuff.
Don't do more douche stuff. Let's see. Is that an option for me to change the title of the live stream here? Maybe that should be.
Check your last super chat.
My last super chat. Oh, we're gone again.
The breaking from Syrian girl.
Did Joe Rogan just nuke KP? This is proof, you see. This is just a ridiculous way to watch a live stream. But whatever. Justin Key. Dave Smith sounds like all libertarians who believe the non-aggression principle will save the world. Retarded. Based autistics. I shouldn't say that, man. It's not a good thing to say.
What'd you say?
Nothing. Based Autistic says, this was the most frustrating debate I've ever listened to. Douglas had a bad approach, but he was correct. Flashing credentialism always looks bad, especially to Americans who are just a bunch of peasants. You know.
I'm actually wondering. I bet every like posh British person who went to Oxford is watching this, going, "Yes, jolly good point there." Whereas Americans are like, "See, that's why we threw your tea into our stinking harbor, man."
And Americans are like, whoa, I don't care about your credentials. You can't tell me what to think. And when not think, nah, I will shut you down.
Yeah, Americans are like, you want to take our freedom to speak? You better take our freedom to bear arms first. Yeehaw. Oh, we're down again.
You can't take away my right to speak. I don't trust no experts except when I had to go to the doctor. Paul, Dave Smith is a typical modern day capo. That's very rude.
They may take our speech, but they'll never take our freedom.
As I love you, boys. Chag Pesach Sameach from all your slimy Jew followers.
They may take down our live stream, but they'll never take our Jew followers.
Happy Passover. Blessed happy Passover to you as well, Asa, and to all those who observe and celebrate, and to all the Jews. It's gone again. I just have one eye here on our stream and the other here on the watch page, and it just keeps coming back and going away again. It keeps going back and going again.
Thanks, Joe Rogan.
I will now title this not a Joe Rogan.
But you got to misspell Joe Rogan. You make it in caps, but make the E. Make the E a 3.
Not a review of Douglas Murray and Dave Smith. Douglas written with a 0. Murray with a 4.
And toss some symbols in there. Toss some symbols in there.
V. Okay. I changed the live stream title now. Now it's called Not a Debate Review of Douglas Murray. Douglas with a 0, Murray with a V and a 4, Dave with a 4, and Smith with a 1. Good.
Let's see if this works. Oh yeah, not a debate review of Douglas with a 0. It looks like one of Ali Dawa's titles. Ali Dawa does that. Oh man, classic. We'll see how long this works.
Want Dave to answer, if your neighbor was shooting at your kids while hiding behind their kids, what would you do? Well, you would offer them peace, of course, and also give them your house, obviously.
You'd say, let's be nuanced.
Clueless Media, Jake Shields wanting you in a ring so bad I thought he kept talking about marriage. Zachary Gelpy, got to love self-hate in no juice makes me sick. It's going again.
Uh-oh.
Accept the fight and tap out when the bell rings. This is what I was thinking of doing. It would be funny to arrange a fight and then just tap out as soon as it starts. And then say, all right, now let's do the debate.
We went back on for half a second.
There's no point in doing this, man.
Yeah, you definitely want to read based. You should. You definitely want to read based autistic's comment here because that's important. You might just have to tell everyone else that it's not going to work.
No, I want to take all my all the super chats here and read all of them. I want to go through all of them. Edelweiss.
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 You look happy to meet me. Metro.
All right. You got a couple seconds while we're still live. As soon as it goes live, just start talking really quick.
Edelweiss. Bless my homeland forever.
Homeland.
Bless my homeland forever. Bless my homeland right now. Crop.
By the way, you should fight this like crazy, even telling them you want to go to court over it.
No, I don't care.
No. I mean, if there is any risk of giving you a strike over something like that, you need to dial it up to 1 trillion.
Edelweiss. Every morning you greet me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shut down this live stream now and be back and send you a link. I just got a video recorded all my super chats. All right. I'll see you in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
You might want to message people in the chat real quick before and say, hey, we're starting a new one. The link will be up in a couple seconds. I've recorded all the super chats. So Edelweiss, Dieselweiss.
Every morning
hey, just tell them real quick while we're live for 5 seconds.
me.